Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So we're actually in candlelight to do this Fragrance Friday. I have actually got a backlight on as well, and I hope that's not too annoying for you, but with the nights drawing in, it's difficult for me to film in daylight now, and we won't be doing any swatches of fragrance, so I thought we would film by romantic candlelight, fragrance candle, I might add, Bath and Body Works, sweater weather. I do love Bath and Body Works candles, although they're difficult to come by over here in the UK. Anyway, I was going to talk this Friday about the newish Tom Ford leather fragrance that I've been trying for over a month on and off from a decent sized sample that I got. But I was swapping out my fragrance library, as it were, putting away my summer perfumes and getting out the ones I tend to wear in winter, and I did that about 10 days ago, but I suddenly picked up Coco the other morning and just took the stopper off and had a sniff, and it was like meeting an old friend. And so I wore it again and again and again, and it's funny how something's so old suddenly becomes both familiar and comforting and new. And so I thought I'd say a few words about Coco by Chanel, a classic fragrance by Chanel. I did a bit of looking up on the internet because I always think of this fragrance as my mother's, funnily enough, because she wore it a long time before I did, and I can remember not actually being that keen on it when she first started wearing it, and now I do like it very much, perhaps not in my kind of top ranking favourites, but a perennial kind of come back to favourite. First launched in 1984, quite a significant year for me. And it's sort of an 80s fragrance, but not. It's by no means as overpowering and as unsubtle and as loud as we traditionally think of those 80s fragrance, like Giorgio, for example, and Poison, very much fragrances of the 80s. The nose on this was Jacques Polge, must have been relatively early in his residency with Chanel's perfumes. The top notes are coriander, mandarin orange, peach, jasmine, and rose. Middle notes of mimosa, clove, orange blossom, and rose. And base notes of labandum, amber, sandalwood, tonka, civet, and vanilla. It's a spicy oriental, and I think it has common themes with YSL's Opium, also around that time. I think Opium was out a bit earlier, maybe in the late 70s. I marginally prefer Opium, I have to say, in its original formulation, but I think Coco is probably a bit more sophisticated and a bit more wearable on multiple occasions. It's definitely, for me, not a heady perfume, but a heavy perfume, a substantial perfume that is definitely for autumn, winter, or evenings. It's quite sophisticated. It's recognisably Chanel, but it doesn't scream Chanel in the way those fragrances that are aldehyde, iris based, the very traditional Chanel. I love, having read those notes, you've got everything in there. You've got your spices, you've got your fruit, you've got your white florals, you've got your synthetics, you've got your gourmand notes. I think what comes out for me predominantly is definitely the spice, the clove. The white flowers are there, and so is the sweetness of the tonka and amber sandalwood, but it's just a beautifully orchestrated mix. I've got there the eau de parfum, and I don't know if you saw, it's actually a stoppered bottle instead of the sprays, which I usually prefer. I think it might be a slightly older bottle that I've had, although I definitely only opened it last winter and used it quite a bit, as you can see, and then put it back away in the box. I always store my perfumes quite carefully. And yeah, it's just a very warming fragrance. I've been wearing it in the day and in the office, as it were, and I don't think it's office inappropriate. It lasts quite well on me, although I'm not sure if that's partly because I've just started wearing it again. And I do think when you start wearing a perfume after a break or a new fragrance, then your brain is kind of not as attuned to it, and so you smell it on yourself a bit more than you do when you've kind of got used to it again. Yeah, so what more can I say? Definitely a warm, every age, but perhaps slightly more mature woman, without being old-fashioned, I don't think. If you like spicy Orientals, but subtle spicy Orientals that are very wearable, then Coco is a great one. Within the range, of course, there's Coco Mamzelle and Coco Noir. I'm not that familiar with Coco Noir. I might get that this winter and see how I get on with that. I'm not really a fan of Mamzelle. I know it's a great favourite, and I often smell it on other people, and I find it a bit acidic, to be honest, but I know a lot of people love it. It's one of my least favourite Chanel's, and I don't really get the connection to Coco. A lot of people talk about it as kind of the day version of this fragrance, and I don't get that at all. I think they are completely separate and distinct fragrances. But if you're a Chanel fan, then it's definitely one to have a sniff. And can we just take a moment before I finish to appreciate the bottle? I do think there is just something so elegant and appealing about these beautiful rectangular, chunky flasks, really, with the beautiful stopper and the black and the gold and the band round the top. Just love to see that on my dresser, and for it to greet me in the morning when I'm ready to dab on my fragrance. So there we go. That's this week's Fragrance Friday, and I shall speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.